Hello, and welcome to Young Global Leaders, where we get the chance to hear from young people hailing from all around the world, sharing about themselves, their accomplishments, and their vision for a better world. Recently, I had the privilege of leading a group of about 100 young people from over 40 countries to 7 global regions on an 8-month global gap year program. Most of them had just graduated from high school, though we also had a few older students. During our 8+ months together, the students formed a deeply loving and supportive community. Anyone could see that they had built something unique and inspiring. Through my eyes as a teacher, coach, and global leadership consultant, what I saw was unlike anything I'd seen before. When the program ended, I desperately wanted to keep in touch with these students and to share their example with the world. So I started the Young Global Leaders podcast. Today we hear from Ellie Odero. Ellie Odero, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm really excited to have the chance to chat with you. Mm-hmm. It's been now 2 months since our time together on the road ended. Can you start by just letting us know where you're joining us from today?
I'm currently in Nairobi, Kenya. It's kind of cold. It's the cold season in Nairobi, so I'm missing the coast. I'm missing warm places, but I'm joining from Nairobi. Yeah.
How cold is cold when you talk about cold in Nairobi?
Okay, so our winters go up to like 16, 17 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
Yeah, that's maybe like 50 or 60 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, so that's low 60s in Fahrenheit. So you're talking about high, those are the high temperatures?
No, that's the lowest temperature.
Oh, that's the lowest temperatures. Okay.
Yeah. No, but I'm actually freezing because the humidity is much lower. Like if it was 60 degrees in Kenya and 60 degrees in New York, the humidity in New York would be 28 and the humidity in Kenya, in Nairobi, would be 23 or like 20. So it's colder in Nairobi than it is in New York, even though we are on the same like weather. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Well, you'll slog your way through the winter to that beautiful summer. It was summer when we were there, right? In February.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, every day was so gorgeous and sunny. I'll never forget it.
I
It
miss
was
it
so
every
lovely.
day. I miss it every day. Yeah.
Well, let's just dive right into things, Ellie. And the first sort of substantive question that I have for you: what can you share with the listeners about what makes you you?
Ooh, Jason, we started with the difficult topics.
Uh-huh.
I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and I think what makes me me is how real I keep it. I think it's almost become like a value. It's something that I would say I had not learned yet to fully embrace about myself, but with the like being around 100 people and just knowing I'm going to be around these people so much that there's no way I was going to like not be myself for a whole year, and then just kind of being like, okay, this is me, guys, take it or leave it. So I think I'm very authentic. I think I'm very honest. I'm very upfront about things that make me happy and things that don't. I'm always looking to have deeper connections with people, but on the basis of, does this serve me? Does this make me happy? Does this give me peace? Because if it doesn't, I'm out. And I think that's what makes me me. Yeah.
I love it. And I will never forget how I first met you. And I wouldn't really call it meeting. It was sort of a strange contact. When I first became aware of you and got a sense of your vibes and your energy, it was before we started traveling together. It was for the listeners, the way that Beret Scholars was structured was at any given point, we had about 100 students in the program. We had some leave, we had some join throughout the year. And we had 10 fellows on staff, and each fellow was in charge of a house, which had around 10 students. And our fellow, who later became assistant dean, Claudia, you were in Claudia's house. And I was trying to get a chance to drop into house meetings for each of the houses as we got closer to the departure time. And I popped into the house meeting, and you were presenting. And I was instantly captivated because, as you said, you were just keeping it so real. And there was also something else I think that our listeners should know about you too, which is that you have a really high level of self-awareness. And
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. And I know it's extraordinary for really anybody, any human at any point in their development to have the level of self-awareness that you've already achieved at a young age. You were so clear about what you care about, and you were really clear. You were talking. I think the specific topic you were taking on was self-care and how you take care of yourself, which is another sort of advanced level, not only of self-awareness but practice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just remember thinking, like, who is this youngster? And I cannot wait to get to know her better.
Thank you.
Mm.
I really like appreciate it and also kind of take pride when I think people who are much older, much more self-aware, much more accomplished in life kind of like recognize that I'm in the path of doing that and like
Hmm.
in the making almost. And
Hmm.
it really makes me happy because I'm like, oh my God, my however many years of therapy and self-love and work, like internal work, actually like works. And like I can see that shining through me. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'm so happy that you've been doing so much work from a young age. It's
Hmm.
incredibly healthy life habits to be
Hmm.
building again from a young age. I didn't have my first experience in therapy until after I was 40 years old. Just for comparison purposes.
Wow. I don't
Yeah.
know what to say to that. Well, I guess it's kind of like some a bit about my background. I went to school
Mm.
in the US for high school after being in Kenya for first like preschool to eighth grade, and then I had to transition to the US, and it was during COVID, and my world was kind of like being torn apart. Like my whole support system was left in Kenya, and I was having a very difficult time building a support system during COVID in in the US in the school that I was finding a really difficult time belonging in. And so I figured out what can I do? And I think with a trusted adult, I realized, oh, maybe I should probably start doing therapy. And so this is like my fifth year doing therapy. Yeah, yeah. So I guess it's a bit different because I guess the stages of life when you're breaking out of that kind of a bubble is
Hmm.
whenever that comes for you is kind of when you realize, oh my God, there's so much I need to like work on. And so, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Um, and it has me thinking. I'd like to hear more from you about. Um, so this is continuing the theme of introspection and building self awareness. Since this program concluded, what kinds of introspecting have you been doing? What kinds of inquiring? What's been coming up for you?
Okay, so I think a week and a half after Beret. So Beret had really high highs, and like there was always something so exciting, so interesting going on, so captivating. Like you were never bored because you were always either in a new city or exploring a new part of a city. So going back from Beret to home was a bit of a low. And while I had experienced lows from like being in school in the US and then coming back to Kenya and the different socioeconomic classes that come with that, intersectionality, to some extent, I expected the emotions that were coming with this first week or two of not being in Beret, but it was just on a new level because I had experienced so much. And so I think for the first time, I was like looking for an escape instead of sitting in the emotion and like working those emotions out. So I took a trip to Uganda, which is like, I have a Kenyan ID. I don't need a passport. I can just take a bus ride and from Nairobi to Kampala and I'll get there in 13 hours, but I'll get there. So I decided to go to Kampala, and then I went to this place called Changwali Refugee Settlement Camp. And that's on the other side of Uganda. So I fully traveled across Uganda, and I was on the border of Uganda and DRC at this
Mm,
point. And I was going through another very intense experience, like I was going through at Beret. It was almost like a fellowship.
mm,
But then I had applied for a job, so I had to come back to Nairobi so I could work because I was going broke, and you have to financially sustain yourself somehow. But onto your point on self-awareness, it's almost like also just self-care. Sometimes it's like you know what you're supposed to do, but you don't do it. And so I think with me even going to Uganda, it was almost like I was postponing feeling the emotions because I wasn't ready to, but then I was forced to, and so I had to at some point, and I mean it came crashing down really soon afterwards.
mm.
um I don't know. It was a very interesting uh period of time for like the first like month to go through all of these emotions. And but I'm also so glad that I am emotionally where I am, because I was like, as soon as I was like, okay, I'm going to Uganda, I immediately knew I was running away from an emotion I didn't want to feel. And I
Mm.
knew that this was going to come back rushing as soon as I was back from Uganda. And I just needed that kind of time period to mentally prepare to then go through the intense, like emotional low that I was going to go through. So, I mean, part of that is a bit of like familiarity with that feeling, but also the other part is I can't escape it forever. Like, I have to go through it at some point, and I'd rather go through it sooner rather than later. And I could not keep extending it. So, yeah.
Can you share with us a little bit more about what that emotional low was for you?
Mm, yeah. Okay. So, I guess the most the most obvious part of it was on part of my body when I was like my shoulders are so sore, or like
Hmm.
I'm not really as flexible as I usually am, because I mean I do yoga and like I stretch every morning, but for a good like 2 weeks I could not wake up and stretch. I could not wake up and do yoga. I could not meditate. I couldn't go on runs. I was having trouble going on walks. Like my regular system of regulating my emotions, my everything, was not in the same frequency that it usually was in. And so it was almost like it was much more mentally torturing, but it was showing up physically. And so I don't know. I don't know if that is a good explanation, but like I could immediately tell like if my shoulder's hurting or if I'm having a headache at this time of the day, that like that's unusual, because I mean coffee can give you headaches, and I love coffee. Oh my
Hmm.
God. I just love coffee so much. But if I have breakfast before I have my coffee and I have 2 liters of water every day, I know for a fact that I'm not having a headache because I had too much coffee on that day. It's
Hmm.
something else that's bringing that. Or if I am all of a sudden, my little sister or my little brother, who I love so much, is talking to me about something and I'm so easily irritable and I
Hmm.
cannot pinpoint what is irritating me, I immediately know there's something I need to work on. There's some reflection that I need to do. And just like at some point, like I was calling my older brother and he was telling me about something. And as soon as I answered the call, I told him, I don't want to hear it. I'm very irritable. I'm not in this mental space to have this conversation. Give me till 7 p.m. today. I'll call you myself, but just don't call me or don't text me. And so, also having a support system of people who also take care of themselves in this way, who also know like these moments of lows and highs with emotions to lean back on. And so he doesn't take my I don't want to talk to you right now as an insult. He takes it as you need space. Go figure that out and I'll be right here when you're ready. So also that also really helped. And I can't confidently say that I have fully gone through processing of all emotions that came with beret because they show up differently. They show up sometimes and I'm like, I'm getting ready for work and I'm having my coffee and I think, oh my God, it would be so nice to have my roommate here, like Leticia. Or when I'm like doing something at work and like I listen to some kind of music that reminds me of a specific place and it shows up differently, but I'm slowly learning how to regulate those emotions and also sit with them and sit in them to then walk through them. Yeah.
I'm struck by a couple of things in what you're sharing. First is just, once again, just incredibly high level of self-awareness and also, and not just the awareness, but also ways of acting on that really honor human relationships. I mean, if you think about it for a moment, the way that you're describing how you handled this emotional low is it's kind of a tale of what a future could look like for humanity. If everybody, can you imagine a world in which, because typically it's just like, we don't know when we're irritable. Or if we do, we find external causes for it, right? Like that annoying thing that you did, right?
Yeah.
And so the irritability just will drive the impact that it was going to have on an interaction is just going to be negative because there's nothing that can be done about it. It just sort of is. And what you did is you identified yourself as the source of this feeling, and you took steps to interrupt any potential negative consequences. You provided specific guidelines for the person that you were speaking with about what was going on and how he could participate in a healthy resumption of the conversation, right? There's so much there that is outside of the norms of human relations that could really point the way forward for us. So, so I'll stop there and see how you're reflecting on that.
I do have to say that has taken me a while to get used to because when I was in boarding school in the US, every time I'd come home for the summer, I was a new person and I had this society that I had been exposed to that my family wasn't exposed to, but somehow I was supposed to fit back into my family and have conversations with my siblings, and they were going to be different. I mean, you kind of expect that, like the whole purpose of going abroad for school is to see a different perspective, is to be a changed person, yeah. And so I think for like my first time that I came back from the summer, I had such a difficult time connecting with my siblings and with my family and with the community around me. And by the time I was going back to school in September again, I realized I wasn't growing any closer to my family. I was growing further apart from them because we were not understanding each other. But then I realized the only person in this situation who knew and had context of both worlds was me. And so I had to be the one to make that bridge between my family and myself. And I think that kind of what helps me also, have international experiences and come back home and fit into this society and community pretty well sometimes, because I have to acknowledge that they don't have the context that I'm bringing in. I have to give them that. And so when I clearly tell my brother, I am not in the space to talk to you right now, I do also tell him, sometimes we have a fight over it. And he's like, why are you never in the space to talk about something? And I'm like, I would hate for you to see or to interact with a me that's so angry. And I'm not angry at you. But then I think it's also something about how we relay information or how we try to hide things about ourselves. Sometimes in the process of hiding that, we hurt the people we love so much than we would have if we just told them what was going on. And so I had to learn that the hard way. And so I guess over time, you kind of learn how to do that. Yeah.
I love how you worded that. Over time, you learn how to do that, like generically, like, that's just what you do. And I just, I want to be sure that our listeners, I mean, I'm sure as folks are listening to this, they're also picking up, this isn't something you just do. This is something that you, Ellie, have done. And wouldn't it be wonderful to get to a world where that's just something you do, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of future I think that we're aiming for.
Hmm.
Um, One other question that I have for you, just to dig a little bit deeper, is so you just mentioned anger. Um, being angry about something, and you mentioned this emotional low. So forgive me for if it's uncomfortable to dig, and feel free, of course, to decline to go into it any further if you want to. I'm still really curious about what was the texture and the nature of this emotional low that you went through. Can you name feelings? I mean, you just named anger. I don't know if that was part of this one, but what can you tell us about what that actually, yeah, the texture and the details?
Um, I think the anger specifically doesn't just come out of nowhere, because I guess before you really become angry, you become irritated, like slowly, like it builds up before then you're full on angry. At
Hmm.
least for me, that's how it happens. And so I guess over time I have learned how to pick on I'm getting irritated. Let me connect that to what is causing that so I don't get to anger. But in the past, when I'd be angry, I think part of that was tied into the change in the environments that I was walking between and these two societies. And I think it's worth mentioning that when I was living in the US, I was living among like the very top socioeconomic class of people. And when I'm living in Kenya, I'm living in a slum, which is below the poverty line or like the very lowest socioeconomic class. And so it's almost like sometimes it's not really fun to see the world because you see so much of injustice. You see so much of what should be done that is not being done. And it kind of like ruins the taste of you enjoying the experience because you can then so easily pick up on what is wrong in the system. And so I think when you relate that to anger, it's like I come back home and I'm thinking to myself, why does this billionaire in this country have as much as they do, doing like tax evasion or all of these things? And I mean, if they have that much, then someone else is missing something. And in this case, someone else is me, is my family. And so, but I didn't necessarily have the words to express that or didn't know exactly where that was coming from. And so I would just be angry. And like, I really don't know how best to explain it, but it's almost also like when you're working through traumatic experiences and you cannot pinpoint an emotion and draw a straight line to like a childhood traumatic event, you become angry because you know that you're feeling anger, but you cannot find the source of it so you could like walk through it. And so I don't know, the anger is just really sometimes not misinf like sometimes a lack of information and sometimes a lack of self-awareness and a lack of awareness of your environment and other environments that you bring in the context that you are in. So those cause anger. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's also just like the really small things. Like if I know I feel best at 10 a.m. if I woke up at 5 a.m. and went for a run and read 2 pages of a book and had my coffee and listened to a little bit of music. At 10 a.m., I'm the happiest I've ever been. On days that I don't do that, everybody could end up having a bad day because I'm having a bad day. And so just recognizing that, I guess a big part of this is always recognizing that you might be the problem. And so maybe start by changing you before you can then really look at the environment because I think a lot of the times also it comes to the mindset that you are in. So if you're looking to be better, then your mindset is a bit different than if you're not even aware that you need to be better. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes, I mean that definitely provided a lot more context
Hmm.
for the specifically for the anger that you I don't know, say were experiencing, have been experiencing, still experience.
Hmm. Hmm.
So thank you for providing all of that. And I'm also wondering then, so it sounds to me like, so because I'm what I'm thinking about now is then, okay, so there you are in this state. what do you do? It sounds to me like routine is and specific aspects of your routine are important to you. Is that
Hmm.
accurate?
Very accurate. I think it's a
Hmm.
way that I regulate myself with, because I know I can't change the world. Well, I can, but like not at the scale that I would love to, or
Hmm.
I can't just snap my finger and overnight things have changed. So finding ways in which I can still be happy, find joy in things that I used to like, or new activities to then kind of supplement the happiness that I may not have in one of the societies that I'm in kind of
Hmm.
helps with that. Yeah. Mm.
Does this connect at all to the work that you're currently doing?
Hmm. A little bit actually. A lot of the work that I'm currently doing is working with like strategy and management, and there's a few programs in it. So there's like the gender program, which works with cases of gender-based violence, and psychosocial support. Is it psychosocial or psycho-emotional? Psychosocial, I think. Psychosocial support. Um, and then there's another program which is working with education. And so I'll just like quote the United Nations right now. I think it's UNICEF that quotes that there's 1 million primary school or junior secondary school kids in Kenya who are of school age but are out of school. So they're dropped out.
Hmm.
And hypothetically, primary school education is free in Kenya. And so we're trying to figure out, so why do we have 1 million out of
Hmm.
school kids if school is free? And like I said, living in a slum comes with so much emotional baggage that you later have to work through in life. Yeah. And so doing work like this, if I cannot envision myself doing this work on if I was not myself emotionally ready to be in spaces where I was working with very vulnerable people and like I would not be able to produce my best kind of work. And so I understand that I have to work on myself. And sometimes it's a bit triggering because I have grown up in that environment. I have friends who have like not finished the school because of early marriages or because of pregnancy or because of lack of school fees or school uniforms. And so sometimes it can be very difficult situations where I almost see a reflection of my past self or like something in my childhood is triggered. But I'm at work and I am serving people at that moment. And I have to recognize that I'm being triggered and I still have to give this service to this person. And I can't do that if I'm not in the best emotional state. So, regulating my routine, making sure that I wake up in the morning, I go on a walk or a run, I drink my coffee, I am reading a book. It's these ways that I am enriching my brain because my brain is going to need that extra kind of energy, motivation, hype for the work that I'm going to be later intensively going into in the day and then just having like meditation in the night or reflection or even allowing myself to cry and doing like stretches that really deal with hip mobility because a lot of trauma is stored in people's hips. So just like
Hmm.
child pose or like really anything around stretching your hips, your legs works very well because you're releasing those emotions. And so if I can walk into the space, provide the service, be my best self, but still acknowledge that this might be triggering for me. There's still so much I need to learn from this. There's still so much I need to work through myself before I can then go into spaces like this. And this kind of ties into my trip to Uganda in the refugee settlement camp. Like, there's no way I would have been able to be there if I was not able to recognize when I'm being triggered, when I'm sad, when I'm angry, when I'm happy. And it's also worth mentioning that I also recognize when I'm having happy moments. Like, I take a moment during happiness and I'm like, oh my God, I feel so happy. I feel so grateful. I am so like blessed to be here in this moment because it is about the balance. Like if I'm going to recognize the hurt, I should also recognize the happiness. So yeah.
I'm reflecting again back on that moment when I first became aware of you and who you are, how you showed up in that meeting And I feel like you're giving us kind of a peek behind the curtain to all of this really intensive work that you're doing with moment to moment so
Yeah.
that you show up in a way that has a positive impact on those around you. It's really quite extraordinary, Ellie.
Thank you.
Mm.
Thank
I
you. Yeah.
really appreciate your honesty and your transparency. I think
Hmm.
it's inspiring.
Thank you. I always hope that my energy can reflect on other people because if you have abundance, then you can give to people. And so if I'm
Hmm.
showing up as my happy self, as my very energetic self, I can share that with other people. But if I'm not in that space, then it's just terrible. Yeah.
Are there people that so you shared the story about your older brother, and you basically you disengaged in the moment in a very transparent
Hmm.
way, and and essentially said, not now. Are there, do you have people in your life where you can just break down and like where you can just like let all the other stuff, maybe the more negative stuff
Yes.
out? You do. Okay, good.
Yes. Very
Good.
frequently. It's a tradition I started in 2023. I
Hmm.
keep a cry count journal.
Cry count journal, did you say?
Yeah,
How
I
does
have
that
a
work?
journal where it's just like I have all of the months of the day, all of the days of the month, and at every moment in time, I have either like I have four categories. Almost cried but didn't cry. And then shed a tear. So it wasn't that serious. Completely had a mental breakdown and did not recognize why, and then had a mental breakdown and recognized why I had it. And I've been keeping this journal since 2, 3 years now, and I
Hmm.
keep it every day. And I can tell you that even being around people who are as in the same kind of um, work as me helps because I can call my friends and be like, hey, I'm going through this right now. I don't know what is happening. Like, you know me. What could you think this is bouncing to? What do you think this is reflecting? Because maybe I am not in the mental space to remember what is happening, but they are. And so it really helps. It's when it's especially people who know you really well. And I have like maybe two or three of those people. And so really helps because I actually do cry a lot. Like I allow myself to cry so much. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a crybaby. But then if I don't let it out, like, you know, and I allow myself to feel these emotions and just keeping track of them also helps me keep track of my emotional progress. I can
Hmm.
see that in 2024, I think I cried every 1.5 days, and it was like a lot of crying every 1.5 days. And so I was like, this is not the way to live. Like, I'm actually living a sad life. This is not
Hmm.
okay. And so shifting that to changing it into, okay, I'm crying every 2 days. And all of a sudden, I'm crying every 3 or 4 days. But then, even if I'm crying now every week, it's like very small cry, or like I shed a tear, or I almost cried, but I didn't cry. Because now like over the time I have realized this triggers this is how I deal with that. This is what I know will work for this emotion. This is what I know will work for this emotion. And sometimes it's as easy as there's also this theory that I found on TikTok that I follow very religiously with my friends. Um, because being away from home so much and so many times also kind of plays into the how many times you cry, because sometimes you don't realize what it is, but it's just I'm missing someone so much. And so there's this theory that says if you can call a friend or be on the phone with someone for 12 minutes, it changes the brain chemistry. If you are sad and you call someone for, actually it's 8 minutes, and you call someone for exactly 8 minutes, you instantly get happy.
Hmm.
And so I we have like a it's like a code red with my friends. When I text my friends, do you have 8 minutes? They instantly know I'm on the verge of a breakdown and I need to talk to someone. And so, as busy as we all are, considering time difference, considering school, considering work, they can carve out 8 minutes of their very busy schedule just for me. And I do the same. And that
Hmm.
helps us grow as well together. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Wow. Um, how did you, I mean, because the environment that the Bray environment, um, I guess in some ways lent itself to stability, but mostly not. I mean, because things were moving and changing and shifting all the time. So,
Yeah.
how did you manage all of this while traveling?
I don't know if I can say I managed it while traveling,
Mm,
very honestly. I think um, a lot of the times I would allow myself to have highs and lows. So let's say if I am from just a very intense fellowship, the first
mm,
week of the next home base city, you would almost never see me because
mm, mm,
I was in kind of like a period where I was processing emotions very intensely, or I was just like falling back onto the familiarity of like my circle from home and from my high school. Because with every new experience, there was new people around me, there was new energy around me constantly. So falling back into that safe environment that I was very familiar with, at least for just that first week, always helped so much. And so I think that's kind of how I went about it, but still I can tell you very honestly, like I'm still working through some of that. I can easily say I probably worked through like first semester's emotions.
mm,
I don't know if I've worked through second semester's
mm,
emotions. So
mm.
yeah, yeah.
A work in progress.
Work in progress.
Great, I love it.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just looking right now at some of the other questions, and I'm also conscious of our time just
Hmm.
flying by. Um, yeah, here's a question I'd like to ask you.
Hmm.
So, we had so the students came from over 40 countries,
Hmm.
and you just went through this experience of traveling the world with these students for 8+ months.
Hmm.
You It strikes me that you know a thing or two about how to communicate and collaborate across cultures. And I'm
Hmm.
wondering what insights you might be able to share in this regard as a result of your experiences.
Mm. I kind of took this as a experiment throughout the year.
Mm,
I think I have come to realize that people love when they are made to feel important, when
mm,
they feel seen, and when they talk about themselves. And so those three things really helped me connect with new people every new experience we had. And like, I mean, it was almost 100 people. So I was constantly finding something more interesting about someone or connecting with a totally new person. And so I think like some of the insights I gained was just like be the person who takes the initiative to learn about the other person. Because if you want a happy relationship with someone, you're going to have to put in the effort for that. And so if I learned that my friend really, really gets happy if I say hola instead of hi, I will say hola to her every single time I see her. And so I'm learning a new language. I just made someone happy. And in that happiness, I made myself happy too. And so also just remembering that, oh my goodness, these people that I'm also traveling with are going to be changing because I'm changing. So if I met someone in first semester in New Hampshire, they probably are not the same person I met after Turkey in Nairobi.
mm,
So also giving people that space, recognizing that we were all growing and that we would all be in different places emotionally, mentally, physically was really, really helped with this navigating this experience. And sometimes, I mean, I like to think about it mostly in languages. I know four languages very well. I speak five or four languages. I don't even know anymore. But I don't think
mm.
in English. Yeah. I think in my native language. And so
Which is,
sometimes, which is Luo. Um,
mm,
and so sometimes I would have had a very intense long day and it would be 9 p.m. And my roommate Leticia, who speaks Portuguese and English, wants to speak to me in English because that's the language we both understand. But I'm not in the space to speak in English because I'm so exhausted. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, girl, I don't know. You're gonna have to learn Duo or I learn Portuguese because we're gonna have to meet each other somewhere. And but making that step to be the person who thinks of the other person's perspective was one way I was able to communicate across these cultures. Because I think it's just almost giving people grace as much as I give myself grace. I feel like I give
Mm-hmm.
myself so
Mm-hmm.
much grace. And so
Mm-hmm.
extending that to other people also really helps because, I mean, sometimes I try to speak to someone and I'm like, I'm hitting a roadblock. Like there's a wall between us. I'm not getting through with this person. But if I had a conversation with them today and they mentioned that they liked airplanes really much, I'm going to learn about airplanes so I could try to
Mm-hmm.
break that wall the next time we talk again. And it was always such a random time. Like, we just came back from morning program and we're all going to lunch and we're walking together. And I'm like, you mentioned this last time. And this is what I know. Can you tell me more about that? And like I told you, people love to talk about themselves and things that they know really well. And all of a sudden, you got the connection. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, I don't know. I think it also helps to understand, also read people's body language, what kind of the mood they're in. If we had like a very interesting speaker that was talking about a very niche topic that was of interest to one specific person, I always make sure to follow up with one specific person because I'd be like, I know you like this. And you might even have more context because maybe I didn't understand what they were talking about. So it was it was always me like just put in the effort to understand other people, but also realizing that being understood is kind of overrated. So I'm not expecting people to understand me, but I will make sure that I will try to understand people in my actions. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Wow, there's so much there. There's one thing in particular that you said. Uh, you said you like to give other people grace. That you noted that you give yourself so much grace,
Hmm.
and that leads to you giving other people grace. And I think that's a really profound observation on your part. I think so much of the human condition is we have, and I guess I don't want to paint with too broad of a brush with the term like self hate, because that can be
Hmm.
interpreted in a lot of ways. But there's so many ways in which we invalidate ourselves moment to moment unconsciously. We have no idea that we're doing it, and the way that it plays out is then we invalidate others.
Hmm.
So the converse of that is if we're able to give ourselves grace, what that opens up in terms of our ability to give grace to others. And I love that you pointed that out and that you've named that as a way to a way to bring grace to others, to bring grace to ourselves.
Hmm. I love that you mentioned self-hate and self-love. I think that
Mm,
is one of the things I have worked on and I really enjoy doing. Like
mm,
every hotel we were in, I would write with a red lipstick on the mirror
mm,
self-affirmations.
mm,
On the mirror, like I would write something like that was self-affirming. Like I'd be like, I'm so smart. I'm so
mm,
gorgeous. I'm such a beautiful human being. I am this and I am that. And everything would be positive. And if I wrote it at night, that would be the last thought in my head.
mm,
And if I wake up in the morning and that's the first thing I'm seeing in my mirror while I brush my teeth, I am immediately like, heck yeah, I am all of these things. And, sometimes you just need to see it in the mirror written down clearly for you to remind yourself that. And so
mm,
I think one of the things that I really love to do is like this morning self affirmations really helps with my mood, really helps get me in the right headspace to just go out. And it also kind of helps you recognize when people are having silent battles with themselves because you realize
mm,
if someone says something, you're like, this person is projecting something that they haven't walked through. I will not
mm,
take offense because I
mm,
know that this is probably not them. they just have to work through something, and that's
Hmm.
okay because my affirmations in the morning told me all of these things that are not that. So why would I listen to that one thing? And so you just end up having a happier day. Like, yeah.
Mm.
And I'm not saying I didn't have bad days. I totally did. I would make the conscious effort to try to have the good day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Another example of living outside of the norms of human interaction in a really good way, because
Mm,
it's not typical when we receive some kind of bad vibes from somebody else to offer them the grace that you just suggested that we can offer them, right? It's just like, okay, I understand you're working through something. No, it's like, screw you. I don't like how you're I don't like how you're
yeah.
treating me. Get out of my face and
Yeah.
get out of my life.
I think actually a little bit of that depending on what exactly we're talking about. So
Mm,
there's
mm,
like a few boundaries that are very hard lines for me that I'm
mm,
like, you cannot cross that. I know I can give you grace. I know I can be a self-loving person and extend that love to you, but I also expect an 18, 19, 20-year old to show up in this way. So just be aware that you
mm.
cannot cross this line. And when you do, I will be very angry and I will let you know that I'm very angry.
Right.
And we had a few of those instances
Mm-hmm,
in the
mm-hmm,
cohort where someone said something and I was like, that is wrong. Or someone didn't say something and I was like, why are you not speaking up about it?
mm-hmm,
You know?
mm-hmm,
Like I am expecting you to care about, I'm expecting you to think about this other perspective. So
mm-hmm.
there's a bit of balancing to do
Yes.
in it, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you that bringing that into the conversation, because one could, draw the conclusion that we should just let other people run roughshod over us. But no, like we have
Absolutely
to we
not.
have to we have to stick up for ourselves and draw boundaries as well,
Yes,
and our
yes.
expectations of the behaviors of the adults around us, especially.
Hmm.
Well, Ellie, we're winding down here, and so the next question that I want to ask you is just what is next for you?
Oh, I am gonna be going to college. I do have to say, I'm excited to take my classes. So I'm
Mm,
excited for the academic part of it. And I think part of that is I kind of like I'm craving that academic intense learning.
hmm.
I didn't have as much of it in Beret as I would love to. And I had a lot of it. I had more than other people had because Claudia, um, the assistant dean, was also the politics AO
Hmm.
kind of lead fellow. And oh my God, she's so smart. It
Yeah.
was like you just sit there and you just absorb like a sponge. So I really liked that. And so with that experience, I'm looking forward to getting back into the learning space more intensely. But I'm not very excited about other aspects of going to college because I'm finding it hard to pinpoint on something to be very excited about because I've had such intense experiences in the last year that I don't know what's going to top that or what's going to
Mm-hmm.
match that. So part of it is like, I'm so excited to go to school. But the other part is like, oh my God, am I only going to be learning? Like, I don't know.
What was are you what where are you going to be going to college? Is it a yeah? Why don't you just
I'm
tell us
going
that?
to Center College in Kentucky and I'm going to be majoring in engineering. This is like something I've really, really wanted to do. So I'm
Hmm.
so excited to take my classes. I just signed up for like my math and physics class the other day. So it's something I'm looking forward to, but there's the other
Hmm.
aspect of it. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it makes complete sense that that would
Hmm.
be where your energy is focused is on the
Hmm.
academics, and the way you might have some trepidation about the other aspects of your life in college. But I'm I know, especially, I mean, I knew this before you and I talked today, but I mean, especially after chatting with you today, like you have got such a rich set of resources for making meaning out of whatever you're going through and wherever you're going through
Hmm.
it. You're going to be figuring this out as you go, and you're going to be finding what there is for you, and what the broader experience has to offer you. It's just going to take some time.
Hmm. That was heartwarming. Thank you.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think our listeners are probably feeling something similar. Like, yeah, Ellie's got this for sure.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah.
Um, yeah, gosh, we're almost out of time here, so I think we should probably just bring this to a conclusion. And I don't know, maybe look to another conversation, maybe in a few months, and hear
Yeah.
hear how you're doing in college. So we're recording this on July 21st, 2025. When do you depart for college?
I have to be in college on August 11th.
Oh, coming right up.
Yeah. 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 Um,
Okay. Well, thank you, Ellie, for taking time to chat with me today and to offer
yeah.
what you've offered to our listeners as well. I really just feel like listening to you is like a gold mine of
Oh,
like this is so much about how you go about your life and your relationships with other
mhm.
people. You're really pointing the way for us.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you for having me. I had missed you so much. I was looking forward to this chat, and I am so, so, so happy that we got to do this, and I'm looking forward to our next chat. Yeah.
Same, Ellie.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Ellie. If you did, please tell at least one friend about it. Give us a 5-star rating and subscribe to the podcast. That will help others find us. Until next time, let's keep our heads clear and our hearts open.